All right.
Recording
evening.
in progress.
Good evening and welcome to the City Council special meeting this Monday evening, March 2nd. Mr. City Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Certainly, Mayor Lorraine. Councilmember Diaz-Nash.
Yes.
Councilmember Spirko-Goditsky.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Fernandez.
Here.
Mayor Lorraine.
Here.
And Councilmember Newsom.
Here. We are excited to be here in person with options for those who choose not to be in person to still participate virtually. Thank you for your cooperation and for helping us maintain an efficient and accessible meeting environment. There are several ways to participate tonight. For those attending in person, you can complete a yellow request to speak slip and hand it to the city clerk. If you're participating remotely, please use the raise your hand feature in Zoom and you will be called on at the appropriate time. If you're calling in via phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. And when you're called upon, please press *6 to unmute yourself. These options for public comment will remain available until I close public comment periods for each specific item we have. And just a note for anyone watching on YouTube tonight, if you wish to provide live public comment, unfortunately, we do not have that feature available on YouTube yet. So please note you must join the meeting through the Zoom webinar using the access information listed on our agenda on our website, cityofsanmateo.org. Thank you for bearing with us. And we're going to begin tonight with a closed session item. This is a conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, workers' compensation. The council will move to a conference room and then return after the item has completed, but we will first check in to see if anyone has public comment on the specific item. Mr. City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Lorraine. There are no requests to speak on this item, either in our virtual environment or in chambers.
Okay, in that case, I will close public comment on this closed session item, and we will convene to closed session and return as soon as we can. Thank you.
I said, let's you ready for a conversation. Let's talk. That's what you're not.
Okay. Thanks everyone for your patience. We have returned from closed session, and we now have a study session item for the special meeting tonight. It's the Clean Water Program and Wastewater Treatment Plant Upgrade and Expansion Update with a presentation by San Mateo Public Works. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. We're glad to be here. I'm Tom Williams, Engineering Manager for the Clean Water Program, and I have Tom Rourke with me, the Senior Project Manager at the Wastewater Treatment Plant as part of the Clean Water Program. Mayor, council members, my city colleagues, and the audience we have, welcome. I'm excited to talk about the Clean Water Program and the plant. So let's get started. So the agenda is pretty simple. We'll talk about the Clean Water Program overview and update. I'll give you a little bit of background of how we got started, where we were, and how we're landing now. So in the beginning, you know, the Clean Water Program, the driver was the cease and desist order from 2009, a long time ago now. And we were going to replace the aging infrastructure, build better weather capacity, meet regulatory requirements, future regulatory and current requirements, and then align the cities and foster cities' sustainability goals. And this is a really, really simple timeline. You know, we got started back 2015 with the program, construction on the plant 2019, and then our other big project, UFES, in 2020. And now all those things are coming together here in 2026. So you can see from this figure, it was a pretty massive program. We had projected somewhere near $1 billion, a 10-year effort. Those are various and sundry pump stations and line work, including the treatment plant, the UFES, and here's where we are. We've completed almost all of that work. Now we only have the remaining work at the treatment plant, some finished work at UFES, a small amount of line work on ECR, and we have the final pump stations. We're renovating 3 pump stations as the last project. So the original objectives at the treatment plant was replace the liquids process. The liquids process was going to be improved to meet the regulatory requirements and treat the wastewater flow in the wet weather, which is up to now 78 million gallons per day. We wanted to achieve early actor status for nutrient removal, anticipating the nutrient removal that would be mandatory in the future, and also be ready in the future for Title 22 recycled water. The plant location, as you all know, is next to the original treatment plant on Detroit. And back in 2020, we initiated work, and this is a shot of the excavation and foundation work as we got started. And now we have, you know, we're doing the polishing work on the finished treatment plant. We got a new headworks. The old plant didn't have a headworks. All of the debris and grit that came in from their sewer made its way into the treatment process. And now we have a headworks that screens that and removes it at the front end, improving the overall process. These are the primary clarifiers. They're enclosed with odor control. This is a shot of the biological nutrient removal. For short, we call the BNR. Part of the heart of the new treatment process. And then the membrane bioreactor, and toward the end of the presentation, I'll show you what great results we're getting with that. And then the bioactive flow. The bioactive flow is the process that allows the plant to operate at a very high rate in the wet weather months, treating that combined stormwater and wastewater that ends up infiltrating into our sewer system. We got a modern control room now as part of this new plant. And in September, we had the official ribbon cutting. As you all know, We had the official ribbon cutting. The plant was mostly complete, but the processes weren't totally done, but we had a great celebration. We have a nice new administration building that's got a state-of-the-art lab, the control room, facilities for meetings, training, offices, and the operators. And so what we have now is we have a treatment plant, state-of-the-art, capable of producing a high-quality effluent, and it's very attractive. So here's an example. On the left side, we have the wastewater process, the wastewater in the BNR process, typical wastewater. And then on the right side, that's the result. That's what the membrane bioreactor, the MBR, can produce. It's very, very impressive. And here's a comparison. So we have the existing effluent on the left. That's what the current treatment plant produces and sends to the bay. Now the center beaker contains the bioactive flow effluent. Now this is the effluent that they're producing at that high rate of treatment in the winter. But on the far right, that's the MBR. That's the filters. And that is producing that really clear beaker and really, just really impressive. So let's talk about the bottom line for a minute. That's what we all want to hear about. We projected in 2017 that we'd spend $991 million. Well, that's what we budgeted. The current estimate at completion is $1.035 billion, which is about 4.4% more than what we had projected in 2017. And you can see on this chart, we won't go into great detail, but some things went over, some things went under, but we had a really, really good result. So where we're headed now at the treatment plant is we're at that final phase. The treatment plant is almost fully operational. Soon it will have all the flow necessary and the old plant can be taken offline. But we do have some final projects and final things to negotiate or tasks as a part of this. And so what we are projecting is that above the owner contingency, we'll need $3.85 million for hard constructed things at the plant and about $2 million of soft costs associated with that. Now, this is just the plant. So this breakdown shows that we have a potential, and this is a potential depending on whether we negotiate down some of those extra costs that we're projecting. We have about a 15% contingency on the plant, which is a good figure for a project of this size, this complexity. So upcoming milestones, the plant performance testing is currently ongoing. The new processes will be operational in this month, and the final force mains should be cut over this month, meaning the plant will be receiving all the wastewater intended for it. Following that, the big project left to do is to convert the existing aeration basins. They'll be taken down and converted to an equalization basin to give the plant a capability of holding some flow to catch up in those wet weather events. And then the remaining site work should be also done by this coming May. And we expect the project to close out by June of this summer. So this is a breakdown of where we see these final costs, where we will need about $9.6 million we project if all of the costs that we projected come to fruition. So most of it's at the treatment plant, that $5.9 million for the treatment plant work, but there are some costs in the system. We have some additional costs at the UFES project in completing it, and we have some additional project costs in a couple of the last rehabilitation projects due mostly to escalation and some additional scope. You know, I left this slide on. This was from last year. This is a history of our financial strategy. It illustrates that, you know, the city's taken action for rates. We've got rate increases built in that cover the cost of the program. And then it also highlights the loans that the city was able to obtain that saved millions of dollars in funding the program. And so in the wrap up of the Clean Water Program, the plan will be completed this summer. We will reopen a very, very important thing to the neighbors, the recreational path that crosses the plant property. This is one of this is something we've all gotten a call about. The neighbors all want the path back, so we should have the path restored by this summer. And there'll be some other minor projects toward the end of the year. And then looking ahead, there'll be some solids. You know, the plant work addressed the liquid portion of treating wastewater, and we'll have some solids improvements to do in the coming fiscal year. And then we are going to embark on a sewer master plan update to map out the future for our system. The conveyance system has had a lot of work done, but it's certainly not finished. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. Williams, for your presentation. And at this time, I would ask if we have any public comment on this item. If you're in person, you can give a yellow request to speak slip to the city clerk. If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. Mr. City Clerk, please tally any public speakers we may have.
Mayor Lorraine, we have not received any requests to speak on this item.
Thank you. Okay, in that case, I will close public comment on this item and ask if any council members have any questions or comments. Deputy Mayor Fernandez.
Hi there. Thank you very much for a very comprehensive report. I know that this is one of the biggest infrastructure undertakings we've had, so grateful for your leadership and for planning. This is for the city manager. Can you? It had been mentioned some time back that the city of San Mateo was in talks with the city of Foster City about some money that may have been owed around the wastewater treatment plant. Can you provide me an update on that?
So is this the bridge loan that the city
Yes,
did
sir.
earlier on? Yeah, so we have come to an agreement with the city of Foster City. We'll be bringing an item forward, I believe, on the consent calendar at our March 16th meeting for approval of interest owed to the city as part of that agreement. So that'll be coming forward.
Okay, thank you. Any other council members? Councilmember Newsom.
Thank you, through the mayor. Just one question. Do we have any, and maybe this is a city attorney, city manager question, do we have any outstanding disputes or settlements that may be bringing this number down a little bit, or has all that been resolved?
So there are a number of claims and disputes that are still in the process of being worked out. That has no impact on these numbers that are being presented to you tonight, as they're all still in process.
So the answer is there may be money that comes back, but it doesn't have an impact on.
It does not have an impact on what the proposal or the presentation this evening. Those claims and construction-related disputes, they haven't been resolved at this time.
Okay, thank you.
But I think if we're successful, it'll help that bottom line that you saw up there, just overall.
Yeah, through the mayor, I think our estimate of completion is a conservative estimate that includes everything that's on the table, including, if we have something that comes forward as a claim type item from a contractor, we include sort of the worst case in terms of what the contractor may say is in their claim. As the city attorney indicated, some of those things are still in progress, and so that's to be determined. But there are also things that we include in the estimate of completion that are maybe not claims, but they are, like, for example, in the treatment plant, we've received quite a few time impact claims from the contractor. And so those are things that we carry the full amount that the contractor is saying that they may be entitled to, but then we go through a process of reviewing those to determine, are they really entitled to it? And if so, is it the proper dollar amount? And have they provided all the relevant information? So there are things that we believe in the estimate of completion that we will be able to successfully bring below that, but we always carry the most conservative amount when we look at what we need in terms of budgeting.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Councilmember Sphirko-Kudisky.
Yeah, just first, thank you about the opening of the path. Do we know when that will be? June? July? September?
What do you think?
We're estimating that it'll be completed by the end of May.
Okay,
And I'm
great.
pushing very hard on the contractor. As soon as he does the last two tie-ins with a force main, we'll be starting that work.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And then I did just want to follow up with the city manager about the other park. So next to the pump station, there was a parking lot by Mariners Island that was being used. And
As lay down space.
Yeah, I think the
So we're looking at that parcel, and then there also is another parcel as part of this project that's actually dedicated. I believe it's parkland, just off of Dell Avenue, correct, Matt? And so that's something that we'll be exploring different options. Some things that have swirled around are potentially a pump track. Also, that other lot that we were looking at that's across the street off of J. Hart Clinton, possibly maybe some elements, skate elements, something like that. But that's all under exploration. I don't want to promise anything at this point in time, and we have to engage the community.
awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Diaz-Nash.
Thank you, and just impressive that this project has come this far along and really only had a little bit of overage. I mean, that's impressive. Congratulations, Matt, to you and your entire team, past and present and future, for maintaining it. And a small question, give us an update on those 3 pump projects. I know you and I spoke about the one on Arroyo Court not too long ago.
Sure. We have 3, we actually have 4 pump stations in the project. 1 will be eliminated. So the Los Prados pump station, it's at, I believe it's the, can't remember the name. There's a shopping center at the confluence, Los Prados, La Selva, and Norfolk. That project, that'll be a pretty major intersection. We'll change the intersection. We'll move the pump station out of the street. It'll move over to the sidewalk. It'll be a lot. The intersection will be we worked with the transportation group at the Public Works to come up with a good configuration, so we'll get a benefit out of that project for the traffic. It also involves a force main. Force main's under construction right now in Norfolk. They're making their way back toward the pump station. Then we have Kelly Kehoe, the Kelly Kehoe pump station that's really near the Joinville pool. It's going to get a rework too. It gets all new equipment, really a new facility. It gets moved out into the street. And it also has a force main that passes the school and connects to the force main to the plant. And we're coordinated with the school. We're going to do the force main when it doesn't impact the school's operation. And there'll be some odor control at Kehoe Kelly, which will be a nice benefit. We're going to try to work on some of those odors that we're having out there. And then we have a small project at Arroyo Court near the downtown, really old pump station, small. It's also going to get the same kind of rework. We're going to move the facility out into the street, and it'll get a new wet well, a new valve vault, and new pumps, everything, a new panel, everything we knew, and they all get generators. So they all have backup now. So if there's power failure, they'll all stay in service.
And what's the date for the Arroyo project?
The Arroyo project is limited by the Fish and Wildlife. We have a permit that only allows work in the summer, so you won't see any work. Well, you might see work in the street. We have a special dispensation on the permit to work in the street, but we won't work on the site until the summer. So this coming summer, there'll be work out there on the site in 2026.
Great, because the neighbors can't wait.
Yeah.
They're going to be watching. They're excited.
Good.
Thank you.
And it'll be attractive. When we finish, we'll put a nice fence, so it's a little unattractive at the moment, but the new one will look better.
Thank you. And thank you again for your work. I just have, I think, a couple minor questions. One, since others were reminding us that there is a footprint that goes with some of the materials used to create this work that might allow for some park land to be considered after things are done. I'm reminded of another small parcel that's on El Camino by 41st that sometimes has equipment there. And I was just curious if there's an idea of whether large equipment could be moved out of that area after any milestone coming up.
Well, currently, that project, that parcel is being used by the contractors working on the El Camino project. Same project, same contractor that's also doing that pump station project. And so what you see there is their activity currently getting ready to do they're going to do a bore for a siphon under Laurel Creek between the PetSmart and the Barnes and Noble. It's been very problematic because the original plans showed the sewer configuration entirely different than it is. And so we've had to entirely replace that. So they're staging for that. Going forward, I'll work with the leadership to figure out what to do with the lot. We've used it because it's available. So we've had contractors on that lot now for years. For a number of years, it was a stockpile for UFES. We used it to save backfill material. And I know the neighbors aren't thrilled with it. I've met personally with the dentist next door. I talked to the guy that used to own the electronics store. And so I know people drive by and see it and they complain that it looks disheveled. And we work with the contractor to try to remind him. So you've got to keep the fencing looking nice and keep it in order. And he does make an effort, but because he's been suspended on this work on El Camino due to there's several issues about that. He's not always been present, and so we've had to call him and say, hey, you need to come over here and tend to it. But I'll be working with the city. If the city has other use for that lot, then we'll respect that.
So I can just jump in about just the long-term future of that lot. So as part of the housing element that the council adopted, that is one of our opportunity sites for affordable housing in the future. It actually is a really great location for affordable housing as it's close to the Samaritan House Medical Facility, the San Mateo County Medical Facility as well. So it's a resource-rich area overall. And so that'll be something that we'll be looking at. I think we will have a conversation this coming summer with our affordable housing monies. And I think this is one of the areas that we'll look at for future development of affordable housing in our city.
Thank you very much. And I wondered if I might, Councilmember Newsom. Yeah, please.
Sorry, through the mayor. Is that the site that I've spoken to you, talking to the city manager, about the screening and the fencing covers need to be replaced? And has that happened yet?
So I believe, Tom, have we replaced that screening?
I don't know if he was directed to clean it up recently. I don't know if he's replaced it. He's going to move off of it soon and return it to the city.
Okay.
But we want to make sure that it's visibly.
Either way, we should.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're looking into it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No, thank you. And I guess I wondered if I might just ask for hopefully a small update that was presented to council earlier about the status of next steps related to filtration, the Pure Water project. If I recall correctly, we've reached a point at which next steps are not necessarily guaranteed, and we would require funding. But if just for the council's and public's benefit, could I indulge in a reminder?
Yeah, so I'll pass it off to staff, but there's a piece, even looking at going back 10 years as part of this project, there's a biosolids piece of all of this. And so looking at how we can, I believe it's drying the biosolids, right? And making sure the digesters are up and running, but I'll pass it off to our experts over here to talk more about it. I don't know, Matt?
Yeah, I believe, Mr. Mayor, you're talking about being able to purify and create recycled water or drinking water from the effluent. So we have been participating in the Peninsula Pure Water Project, which is a group of stakeholders that are interested in pursuing that effort. And so at this point, the latest I've heard is that the SFPUC is the entity that's really driving that effort. And they have broken the process into two phases, which the first phase would be building a purification plant at the Silicon Valley Clean Water Facility in Redwood Shores, and then building, I believe, a pipeline up to Crystal Springs Reservoir that would be what you call indirect potable use, where you're discharging the purified water into another body of water as opposed to directly injecting it into the drinking water system, which would be direct potable reuse. And so we are, at this point, are the plan was originally that San Mateo could potentially send a portion of its effluents through a new pipeline that would have to be constructed down to the Silicon Valley Clean Water Facility. So that's still potentially on the table, but it's relegated to sort of phase 2 of that effort. So I think it's going to be some time before that would likely ever come to fruition, given that there's quite a few pieces that would have to happen before that in terms of phase 1 activities. So I think we're continuing to participate. The meetings have sort of dropped off, in terms of regular meetings on that. But we have also engaged with Cal Water in terms of, is there opportunity to potentially produce recycled water more locally? We've also had some interest from Burlingame, who is also interested in having conversations about what the potential opportunities are to do some of that. So I think we're continuing to engage in conversations, but the Pure Water Peninsula piece is probably further out in the future.
Excellent. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate many things about that, that we are sticking with the process, despite there potentially being quite a bit of work to happen in the future, that we're looking into other potential options in the interim, and frankly, that we set ourselves up for the potential to even take steps forward with the infrastructure that we're putting in place, as clarified by our presenter today. So those are my questions, and I think at this time, if there's nothing else, I will thank the presenters very much for the informational update and close this item. Thank you. Thank you. And we will now adjourn this special meeting. We will have a regular meeting begin at around 7 o'clock. We'll need about 10 minutes ish. And we'll see you soon. Thank you.